Hi and welcome to the Journal of a Marketing Agency.
Listen in as we chat about challenges we faced,
Insights into the latest marketing topics,
and thoughts on productivity and growth.
I think the thing to talk about next, which it's not really marketing related, because that's primarily what our content's been today. It's more business related. At what point do you kick on and grow and invest in your team? We're at that point now where we're servicing our clients really well, but we're working like dogs to do it. And it's and you're at that tipping point where we need to step out and stop doing the doing. Although we're very good at the doing, we're better at the planning and the strategy and the being the creators. But then spending lots of the time doing the doing as well isn't probably the best use of our time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just that balancing act. What for you did you what are the telltale signs we're seeing at the moment, apart from working all hours?
I think it is. I think the big thing for me is that headspace to be able to see the bigger picture. I'm a big fan of that anyway. Just in general in life, be able to step back from down in the trenches and kind of take a view and say, hang on, what's the bigger picture? Does this matter? Should I be focusing on something else? And I think that's almost how I feel right now with what we're doing. We're trying to do both, actually. We're trying to keep that higher level view and have those strategy meetings and set that direction with the customers, which again, we're doing well, but we're also trying to do the everything, all of the creation, all of the content, all of the management. We're in the detail. We're analysing the detail. We're physically making the changes as well as setting the direction to go. And yeah, like you say, it's just it's taking over. Well, what I was going to actually do is put it back on you in terms of where were you when you thought about bringing me on board? Because you must have gone through the same kind of thing.
Same process, really. It's when I realised I wasn't giving my clients as good a service as I was previously. When the volume. That's the key. I'd always rather maintain clients and try and get new ones. Last thing you want is to do work for a client, they don't come back because for whatever reason you weren't doing good enough work. It's much easier and more satisfying to create relationships with clients longer term than to have this churn of project-based work just based off one-offs. And equally, my reason for creating a marketing agency wasn't to take over the world. It was to improve my life, my work-life balance. I hate that term, work-life balance. Life and work, it is one thing. It's just how you manage it.
I agree.
But having a flexibility, being master my own destiny. But then I was at the point where I was working every hour, late nights, weekends, the same thing, just to keep afloat. And it's in the same. That's where we're at now. We're working so hard, creating so much, and equally there's a book that we think we both read, The One Thing, and a big part of that is talking about there's an example of a lady that opens a bakery because she loves making pies and makes the best pies, but when she was then making pies in her business, she started to dislike pies because she was working in her business, not running her business. And I think that's where we're kind of getting to. I'm certainly working in it as I'm the accountant. If my accountant could hear me, my accounting skills aren't the best, but I do payroll, I do all the lots of the client engagement. We have strategy sessions. I do things on social media. We design things. We do videos. We do editing. We create podcasts. And actually, it's a job that we need to do very soon. Actually, is to create an organisational chart for where we see this company being at its peak, and actually put ourselves in the roles that we're doing today. And then priority-wise, when we see there's a pinch point or there's something we're not doing as well as we could, remove you or I from that role and plug in the right person. And that's where we are now. I think, and the reason we probably haven't done this sooner is I'm innately risk-averse financially. I think if I was in my early 20s, single, I take every risk under the sun. I think you get to the point where you've got, family and responsibilities and so on and so on. You can't quite act as recklessly. Well, people do. It's just not me. I'd always make sure that I've got consistent income from a client base to afford to. And I think it also gives confidence to people coming in, because we are a small startup agency. We really are. I say startup, a few years in. But if someone's joining the team, they need to have the confidence that we could lose half or all the clients and still have the cash flow to have the time to get new. And that's where we're kind of at. I think, and that's where we're going to go to. It's exciting. I think when you joined the team, it changed everything. Suddenly it wasn't just me. I was then responsible for other things, and then equally.
I'm reminding you.
Oh, hello.
Ariana from school.
It's time to pick Ariana up from school.
Thank you, Alexa.
Do you need to pick Ariana up from school?
And she'll do it again.
I'm reminding you.
This is nice. This is authentic.
School.
Yeah.
She
thinks she's called Ariana. She's not called Ariana. She's called Ariane, but
is Ariana
Alexa doesn't know
does
that
she need
word.
Collecting? That's the key. Does she need collecting? Or
No, she doesn't. She
doesn't
collects
collect.
herself.
She collects herself. That's fine. I can't think where I was now. But yeah, it's about giving the confidence to someone joining the team that, and not that people probably think that way. I think you just assume, maybe as a starter, that everything's okay and the payroll happens every month regardless. I just don't.
No, I certainly had. I certainly had not concerns, but I that was something I needed to consider, because I was in a stable role with a business that had been going for years, turning over however many million. So that was certainly something I had to consider. Obviously, the idea of working with you was great because we're friends as well. But yeah, that was something that I had to talk around with you to say, okay, so where do we stand? What kind of what's the financial situation? What's the future? What's the growth plans? Those kind of things. I guess that's the difference now from what you were before. Before you were, from what I'm hearing, you had existing clients, and you were concerned that the service to those existing clients would start to fall because of time and requirements. Whereas actually this time, obviously we're always on top of that. We're always concerned about that. But actually there is the need, the want to grow that's driving it. So we're bringing on new clients. And obviously that's more and more work coming into the mix.
I think it's about growing, but actually we could do more for the people we're working with already. We're servicing we're exceeding expectations and doing what we say we're going to do. But we know there's more we could do with a bit more resource and a bit more time, and actually be able to strategize for them further down the road and not be quite as we're not short in our thinking, but we're not looking years ahead. We're looking weeks and months ahead, and we haven't had the opportunity to step back and look further down the road for them as well. And again, as a partnership, we don't see ourselves doing project work. We see about we're a marketing department for our companies. That's how we operate. And I think this will give us the bandwidth to know that there's work being done while we step out and do lots of the doing. And the things I'm not the best at. We're both we're not jack of all trades. We're master of none. We're pretty good at most things and very good at some things. But I know I think it's important to know what you're not good at as much as what you are good at. And I know from past, when I've managed, international teams and all sorts, I know where my strengths are not. And I know what would be the best plug-in. And I like to, I think an injection of youth. We're not old, but I tend to think, we work on content on digital platforms, and there's probably platforms that a younger person uses that I don't, and they'll be more in tune to that. And I think we'll write the job description this week, hopefully to get something out end of the week, and see what happens, see what comes in. I think it will transform the company, because suddenly I've gone from a one-man band consultant to a duo. We're using freelancers and things for any additional work, but then suddenly you're more of a team when you're a 3, and then I think 4 comes quicker, and then I think 5 comes quicker, and 6, and then you start, not snowball effect, but we'll be able to pitch for work, which we can't do right now because it would mean stepping away from doing client work, which is primarily more important than winning new work at the moment.
Yeah, and like I said before, having their headspace, and the higher level view, really kind of immersing ourselves in that. That's the value that we add with our experience, that we've built up throughout our career. That's the value that we add, and that's the best value that our customers get from me individually and you individually. But then, so we've said that the new starter would be someone who would be creating, that it would be someone who's getting those social posts out, doing those, doing the copywriting, the emails, even the ad reporting and things like that to use. So there's because that actually, one person dedicated to just doing that for us, when you go from 2 to 3 and one person, that's all they do all day long, that is a game changer.
Yeah, I think you're right. And equally, things like we know influencer engagement, we've done a good chunk of that. It takes time, like so much time, and the benefits can be huge, but you need to live in influencers DMs for a week to get reach out to 1,000.
And all hours as well, hours, especially these enthusiasts. The coffee guys, when we were doing it for Cause, they message back at 5:30 when they finished work. If you then message back at 9 a.m. the next morning, they're not going to message back till the following evening. You can't do that. That DM is what not emails runs that way, but DMs don't work that way. No. So suddenly you're kind of, and if there was whole evenings that I'd be on my phone through till the night, till midnight, messaging back and forward with people. I think it's big work. And then again, that's more all hours work.
Yeah, and it's not just the outreach; it's the engagement. It's the relationship building. It's then sending out the right samples, organising the discount codes, make sure that discount code is plugged into the website properly, measuring the engagement of that influencer. Because that's, again, if I'm honest, that's where we don't have the time. We can see in nuts and bolts in terms of revenue generated by an influencer, for example, but we haven't got the time and the bandwidth to dig into the real levels of engagement and the reach of the work that they do, and then future opportunities to follow up. That's where I think, that's where someone can really create brilliant relationships in that space. And influencer or generated content or user generated content is massive, and it's something that we do, but we don't do as well as we could do because it's a time restraint. I think it'd be exciting, and this is something that people don't know. It's not always about doing more and doing better. There's an element of making our lives a little easier, because we need to. We will burn out if we do everything. If we take on 3 new clients and work really, really hard, and we have more profitability and turnover improves and blah blah blah, but we burn out in 6 months, what's the point in that? And for me, it's never been about wealth and earnings. It's been about a lifestyle. So if it means I can have a day off and you and I can have, we can go to an event, the two of us, or go to a client pitch meeting or whatever, and know there's work being done while we're not there. That's a bit of a game changer. And if I suddenly got, hit by a bus tomorrow, you're not just doing it all yourself. And if you got ill or, God forbid any of these things happen, but when you're in a very small team, that's a real risk.
And you said earlier about being risk averse, in terms of, getting people. You were saying that if you were younger and in your 20s and single, then you can chuck money here, chuck money there, and there's less risk and all those things. But actually, flipping it on its head, when you're in that kind of age, you can work all hours. You've got so much more energy than we have now, that little bit older, and actually the risk is exactly what you said there. There's a health risk, and what's more important is the health or the financial risk. And I know it all it does overlap, but that's the balance. That's the decision to make.
And as we all know, my Peloton bike is on the way, 21st of June. I need some time.
I need time
to ride that
get
sucker.
on it.
It's not going to ride itself, is it? Seriously, I think I will be able to take time for things like that more. I think sometimes I know I have time, but I don't feel I have time because I know if I step away from my computer for an hour, I know you're there working, but you're entitled to time off as well. It's just to know that there's things being done when I'm not working in the business, and that's gonna be fun. And I do think I've always enjoyed working in teams, to do team away days where we all plan or we strategize or just have fun. These things are much more fun with people, and it's going to be really an interesting process. One thing again, but what comes with it is if you then employ more people, then my payroll responsibilities go up in terms of time, and then you're at the point where they probably have to start paying someone to do payroll because I don't want to spend. It takes me half a day a month at the moment doing that sort of thing, but that's going to increase and increase and increase. So suddenly, it becomes a real thing, a real organic beast. But it's an exciting place to be. It's where I want it to be always. And also there's a responsibility to grow further because I don't want people to come and just to stand still. I want them to come into the team to see future opportunities. Certainly if we employ somebody that's a little bit younger potentially or earlier in their career, they want to see stepping stones. Hopefully they'll enjoy working here, but they want to see their role grow. And they want to have teams in the future, and that's all part of it.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
So I guess practical advice for, our listeners. Obviously, hopefully they've picked up a fair bit through this anyway, because of just us having a conversation. That's generally how we run these things.
Yeah.
But I guess summarising that, it is about balancing the balance of everything. The balance when things become difficult to balance, isn't it? The maintaining the existing clients, growing the business, getting new clients, maintaining a level of good quality lifestyle, financial risk, all those things. I guess it pays people to evaluate each of those individual components and say, where is that in the kind of workload meter, or the risk meter, or the pressure meter, so to speak. And I guess that's when all of them start going, that's when you do think, okay, now's probably the time.
And I think again, we'll go through this process now, but it's important to one decision. When I wanted to get somebody, and obviously I had you in mind because of our working together and knowing how good you are. I spoke to lots of people, and the best advice came from a couple of people actually. But just get the best person you can afford. We're not trying to fill a gap or just find something to plug a gap. We're trying to find someone that's going to bring a lot to the team and make us better and challenge us to be better. And I think that's something that will be in this role. We'll look at what we can afford as an organisation and who we can plug in that is the very best person in that bracket. And that because I want people to be pushing me. It's my responsibility as the business owner to give them the best opportunity to be the best version of themselves. So I want I don't want someone who's going to sit and just do as they're told, and I want someone to knock on my door. It's only, the studio is one room, a big room, but one room. There's not much door to knock, but equally. Yeah, you want someone that's going to be chipping away at you after 6 months, a year, what's coming next? Okay, we've got 3 new clients. I think they may then need support, and we go from there. It's going to be exciting. I think it's funny. We've talked about this back and forth probably for weeks now. Again, the risk-averse in me is maybe we need to make sure we've just got this in place or that in place. But then having this conversation will kind of, it instills that it's definitely something that's going to have to happen. It should happen, and it will happen, and I want it to happen. Just got to kick on and make it happen, and then not look back. Yeah,
getting the right person has always been important, but more than ever now because of the remote working situation. I mean, obviously, I know we got the studio, but there will be a level of both, won't there? And the right person in any of these roles is someone who's driven and self-motivated, and like you say, not just sitting there waiting for the next instruction or whatever.
It's personality.
Obviously, there's trust that's important and everything, but absolutely, to be successful in a home working situation, you've got to be motivated, you've got to be driven, because it is so. We've talked about working at home and going to the office before, haven't we? And we said, it's hard. There's distractions at home.
I've been office-based a lot this week because I was having constant distractions at home. So I made the commitment, yes, it's not as convenient, but I've been getting here. There's no distractions. I can get my head down and get done what needs to be done. And I think, so a new starter has to be capable of doing that. But I always think it's not necessarily about the best qualified person. I don't think that exists anymore. I think it's about the right cultural fit, the right work ethic, because we know there's things that are changing weekly in the sort of spaces that we work in. So actually that willing to learn, that wanting to get involved, that wanting to push is actually more important than grades. And I know there's a guy you and I talk about a lot, Danny Buck, who's a really, really successful direct-to-consumer entrepreneur. The guy that I think his name's Josh, who runs all of their email marketing and so on. Josh was a barista that Danny used to see in the morning, and he always was a really nice guy, really chatty, and then Danny said to the job, you interested? And now and behold, he's now
spotted the personality.
Spotted the guy that just was really, enthusiastic, wanting to learn. He came to Danny saying, I'd love to get involved, do things, because obviously they've chatted, during the whole getting your coffee process. And lo and behold, Josh is now a really important member of his team now, and he's, he's learning, and it was his attitude that was the key, not that he had a degree in email marketing, which I don't think that's even a thing. But if there was, he didn't have one, but he had that attitude, and that's what we'll be. Of course, I want if someone's got the qualifications as well to back it all up, great. But my 2-2 in marketing from Derby University is kind of irrelevant now because social media wasn't a thing. So a marketing degree, an average marketing degree at that. Again, I was employed for my first marketing job based on me, not the degree. Therefore, I took my foot off the gas in terms of my degree, because I'd already been offered a job because they'd liked me during a placement. They liked me, liked my attitude, they liked the way I worked, and that's the attitude I'll take as well.
Yeah, I mean, skills can be taught, and we've got the program running at the moment that we have the daily learning. We have that time aside. Again, sometimes it's hard to stick to it when the pressure's on, but we try as hard as we can to set that time aside to keep learning, because every time we learn benefits our customers as well. So we've got, like you've just said, skills can be taught. It isn't about the best qualified at the time. It's about the personality, the drive, the motivation, the trust. Exciting times.
Yeah, we touched on the role, but keep your eyes peeled. We'll obviously be putting something out LinkedIn wise and other places to start searching for this next person, and hopefully there'll be a guest on the podcast soon about them and what they want to do and how they want to grow and so on and so on. It'd be quite nice to be someone other than just you and I talking for a change. There we go.
As entertaining as this is.
As entertaining. And you'll notice, everyone, that we're not. First time we've done the podcast remote, which again, we sort of, as you can tell, I'm in the studio, hence the fancy lighting and bokeh, depth of field. Someone's at home to live, but that's how we work. We don't have to be.
This is the example of the workload situation at the moment. Is the nature of the work that I've got at the moment. It's just first week since we've had it, they're not being able to get down.
But that will change.
But again, it's all for a good reason. So exciting.
Good stuff. Okay. There you go. I can press. Thank you so much for listening to the Journal of a Marketing Agency.
Please rate, like and subscribe, and catch up with past and future episodes at playfairmarketing.com.